and welcome back to Cornette's Commentary right here on Who's Slamming Who. Today is Tuesday, August the 17th, 2010. After a few-week delay, he's back, the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. James E. Cornette. Jimmy, what's going on, man?
No, I'm here. I'm really here. No, Tommy, welcome back to you, too. Now, don't put all the blame on me. You missed a week, and I missed 2 weeks, so it's both our faults. But I'm glad to be back on Who's Slamming Who. It's been all kinds of traveling going on here at Castle Cornette. We were down in Charlotte at the NWA Legends Fan Fest for almost a week. I've been back and forth. I've fixed to go to Philly for Ring of Honor television. The Ring of Honor debuts in Charlotte and Richmond, or not debut in Charlotte, return to Charlotte and debut in Richmond, or next weekend, Friday the 27th in Richmond, Saturday the 28th in Charlotte. Just all kinds of stuff going on, but finally we're here to recap some of it.
Yes, sir. I guess let's talk about the Fan Fest that took place a couple weeks back in Charlotte. You got a chance to see a lot of people you haven't seen in quite some time, huh?
Well, it was tremendous. Actually, I got a chance to see Billy Robinson for the first time since like 1983, I think, and got an autograph. Got him to autograph a picture with the CWA World Heavyweight Championship belt that I took of him in Louisville back in 1980. So that was fun. That's going up on the wall, and of course, a highlight of the week was the Hall of Heroes banquet where so many guys were inducted into the Hall of Heroes, and the highlight of that, I believe, was Jim Ross's induction speech of Danny Hodge, which, as you can imagine, was tremendous.
I can imagine.
So if you haven't been to the NWA Legends Fan Fest, you got to go next year for the first time in Atlanta, Georgia, leaving Charlotte, going to Atlanta for a year, back in Charlotte in 2012, but if the Mayan calendar doesn't prove correct, but... it's a great experience and a great chance for people to see all kinds of wrestling memorabilia. Boy, I tell you, Dave Milliken and Rico Mann's belt display this year, they have an actual replica of the old belt that Lou Thez used to wear that's just so cool. And a good time was had by all despite the 110-degree heat index all weekend. It was really nice.
Didn't Jim Ross host his own barbecue or something like that, too?
JR's barbecue sauce was being slapped all over ribs and chicken and everything, and JR stopped by on Thursday night, right before my Q&A, to visit with the folks. And, of course, he was also signing autographs and doing things all weekend, so he was quite busy. But there was still a little time for me to catch up with him, so I enjoyed that. Despite not seeing him on television, at least I got to see him in person.
I know Sting was there, too. Did you get an opportunity to see him?
No. I was at my Cornette's Collectibles booth. He was there on Friday morning only. And to be quite honest, I never knew he was there until he was gone. So, golly gee.
Who were some of the other guys there that you enjoyed catching up with?
Well, once again, of course, Sir Oliver Humperdinck was there. Skandor Akbar. Percy Pringle was there. Of course, I just saw him a few months ago at another reunion in Atlanta, but it's always good to see my managerial colleagues. I mean, literally, there was like 100 guys, past and present. I don't want to reel off too many names and leave anybody out, because then they'll get ticked off at me and stretch me next year in Atlanta, but it was fun. And, of course, there's no shortage of controversy. As soon as I come back, Eric Bischoff is running his mouth again, knocking the wrestling fans, insulting them, calling them names, telling them they don't know what they like and they don't know what they want and they don't want the right things. And I had to reply to him, Mr. Bischoff, because he claims that, he's the arbitrator of who draws money in professional wrestling. Did you hear about this?
Yes, I did, actually.
Well, my response in a nutshell was it's the problem of guys like him being in the business that makes nobody a draw these days, because they always blame the talent. But the problem is when the booking is inefficient, when the companies run incompetently, then nobody draws. So there's Eric Bischoff in his residence in this glass house that he lives in, saying that Ring of Honor guys don't draw money or these other guys don't draw money, when he's got some of the biggest names of the past 20, 25, even 30 years, including Hulk Hogan, in his company, and they still couldn't sell pussy on a troop train, much less a wrestling ticket. So, I find that humorous. And also we got a little viewer mail. I just, not too much, just a little bit here. We're trying to figure out a way, by the way, folks, to do stupid pet tricks here on the program. We haven't figured that out yet. Kind of, audio only kind of takes the fun out of it. But I got a letter from a Cornette's Commentary listener who is currently living in Bangkok, Thailand. His name is Gareth. He's a professor at the University of Bangkok. And he goes on, to basically describe Vince Russo's booking style, because words sometimes fail us when we try to describe that, and I think he's summed it up quite well. You don't need to have a degree education to know that Vince Russo's booking is the equivalent of a sick pig spraying diarrhea all over its trough shortly before having a massive brain aneurysm and dropping down dead in its own feces. However, the irony of this is that the aforementioned event would probably be moderately more enjoyable to watch than a Russo-booked show, because at least the pig was put out of its misery at the end. Moral of the story, pig with diarrhea plus aneurysm greater than Vince Russo's booking. Gareth from Thailand, we appreciate that. I'd like to spend one night in Bangkok along with you and Murray Head sometime, Tommy.
Oh, man. So you want to talk about some things going on in and around the world of wrestling, or what?
Oh, I guess we could address those issues.
First off, very sad news to report here on Cornette's Commentary this week. I'm sure you heard about the passing of Lance Cade last week at the age of 29 years old. You ever had the opportunity to be around Lance?
Oh, my God, yeah. Well, and, that kind of put a damper on my weekend, obviously, as it did a lot of people, and at this point, you get mad. You get mad at the wrestling business, mad at things in general. Lance worked extensively for us in OVW. He was here for quite some time. He was always a great talent, a great kid, a great guy to be around, helpful. After he went to the WWE, he came back down on a few occasions and had some really great matches with guys like Brent Albright when they were here. It's sad, and it's another example of, what can happen when you go up there and you work for the WWE and that environment, and it's sad. And I'm not even looking for a reason to knock the WWE today, but it just, come on. I mean, seriously, can there not be something done to improve the working conditions in that company on a mental basis? They torture guys, the guys that are qualified, that are talented, that don't get a shot. Then they're released, and they've been exposed on a worldwide level as something less than a main event star, even though their talent dictates they could be, just because of the, once again, shitty booking. And then they're left basically to flounder around, and at the age of 29, it's ridiculous. And I know a lot of people want to achieve their dream in professional wrestling, but sometimes, when you be careful what you ask for, because you might get it. And it just seems to me that somebody ought to figure that there might be some correlation between depression and drug problems and working for that company and the way they treat people mentally and physically. But, having said that, obviously it's a loss, because everybody liked Lance. Everybody that was around him. Even Bolin, who likes nobody, liked Lance Cade. So, we're going to miss him. He was a great kid with a great future, and it's just, it's sad to see.
A couple of topics that we weren't able to hit on in the last couple of weeks, since we haven't been able to have the opportunity to do a show. One of them being Tyler Black has signed with World Wrestling Entertainment.
Well, now, do you know he's put pen to paper, Tommy, or are you just bandying around these suppositions as facts?
Well, I'm just going by what I
heard no.
on the paper.
Tyler Black basically, is putting his services out for bid, and he's had some nibbles because he's a great talent. As a Ring of Honor champion, he's really increased his profile over the past year. He's had some great matches. And from what's been put out, he is committed, at least in theory, to go up north, but there's this little matter of the Ring of Honor World title that he still holds. And he's got some Ring of Honor commitments coming up, including a high-profile defense on September 11th, but that's not the only commitment that he has left. So now It's a countdown. We're going to see what happens with the Ring of Honor World Title. We're going to see who can snatch it off of him before, if he goes anywhere, or if indeed anybody can. It's going to be interesting, and that's just another reason to watch more Ring of Honor shows.
Absolutely. And speaking of Ring of Honor, stand there for a second. Obviously, big news breaking this past weekend. Some big Ring of Honor booking changes. I'm sure that you would assume that would have been brought up on today's show. A lot of people had sent in stuff over the last day or two wanting you to address that here on the show.
Well, all I know is I found out about this late Sunday, early Monday, just about the same time everybody else did. Kerry Silken, the Ring of Honor owner, has relieved Adam Pearce of the booking duties that he's had for 2 years. From what I understand, it's not any indictment of Adam's booking. He's done a great job. This is one of the best years that Ring of Honor and at the gate. It's just a desire to do something different, a desire to to maybe go in a different direction and maybe do some things. And I'll admit there were maybe some conflicts with personality-wise with Adam and members of the office, but at the same time it was amicable. The door is open. Adam could return at some point. My job doesn't change. Delirious is going to be the head booker, and I'm the kibitzer who interferes in everything. We're all going to pitch in and help a little bit at the start, doing some extra things to make the transition smooth. But I've talked to Adam. We're friends. People who are trying to come up with some kind of scandal or a bunch of people saying fuck you to each other, it hasn't materialized. So they're kind of grasping at straws on the internet.
Bryan Danielson once again reappeared at the WWE SummerSlam pay-per-view this past Sunday. A few listeners sent in questions, want to know your thoughts on Bryan Danielson back in WWE.
Well, we kind of figured that was going to happen. It's just, it's still yet to be explained why that all this had to go on. But for once, the WWE's underhanded shenanigans have made somebody probably a bigger star. So accidentally, of course. So I'm glad for Bryan Danielson. He should have been there all along. He's a great talent. He's earned his chance. And so at least if it ends up happy, then even though they took a detour, I guess they're back in the right place. I'm glad for Bryan.
Now, wasn't he scheduled to be on upcoming Ring of Honor shows?
Well, he was not. And the reason he was not was simply because truthfully, number one, he had a 90-day no-compete, and which is actually, has it even been 90 days yet since they fired him? He had a 90-day no-compete for pay-per-view or television. He's made some of these independent events that didn't conflict with that, but he was not scheduled for anything with Ring of Honor simply because of that, and also because we probably figured that we would not have him for a long time because they would certainly rectify this mistake. So, between the no-compete and not wanting to book ahead and then have to change something, it just never came to pass. Not that we wouldn't have wanted Bryan, but just that we didn't think there was a window there to bring him in and do anything constructive with him before he was probably headed back.
Sure. Now, someone you definitely have for Ring of Honor coming up on your big show in September, and I'm sure you're excited about this, is Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin.
That is going to be a great tag team match. Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin against the Kings of Wrestling, September 11th in New York at the Manhattan Center on the next Ring of Honor Internet pay-per-view. You can go to Go Fight Live TV to figure out how to order that for only $14.95. I had a hand in training Shelton Benjamin from scratch and Charlie Haas when he was signed to a developmental and sent here to Louisville. Both Charlie and Shelton are tremendous athletes. They've never really gotten a chance to shine in the WWE up to their potential and up to their athletic ability, and that's right up Ring of Honor's alley. So we like to let people shine. So they're, I think, going to let it hang out in New York on September 11th, and the Kings of Wrestling have proven to be the most dominant tag team in Ring of Honor this year, but they may have a little stumbling block, and at the very least it's going to be a match that a lot of people are going to remember. So I'm looking forward to it.
I know another subject a lot of people want to get your thoughts on, since we didn't be able to do a show the last couple of weeks. You
keep getting that dig in, Tommy.
No,
we haven't been able to do that show. You're browbeating me.
It's my fault.
Go ahead.
is the ECW angle, and more importantly, the ECW pay-per-view that they did a few weeks back. They want to know your thoughts on the angle itself and them doing the ECW pay-per-view.
Oh, lordy. Well, I think we did say that at least TNA had traveled ahead in time from the late 80s to 1997.